Here's why you should never tell a person in eating disorder recovery that they look healthy. Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a therapist on Long Island, New York that specializes in the treatment of eating disorders and body image issues. If you're interested in learning more about that or just general mental health and well-being, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button down below. So eating disorder recovery is pretty tricky for the person going through the recovery as well as everyone around them. As I've talked about in other videos, that the eating disorder tends to be very illogical. And throughout recovery, it's not that the eating disorder is no longer present. The eating disorder is there. It's just that the work is to increase the healthy self. And I'll leave a link in the description below to a video describing the battle between the healthy self and the eating disorder self, which could better explain this concept. But what we really work on is increasing the strength of the healthy self so that that is more of the predominant figure in a person's brain who's struggling with the eating disorder and in recovery. So that eating disorder is still there and ready to be activated, so to speak, or ready to be fed with to make it a little bit more strong. And that does happen throughout recovery, and it's a battle. It's really a matter of dealing with that and working with the healthy self to battle that down. This is recovery. But there are some things that we can help to avoid the eating disorder getting fed, so to speak, or be stronger. And there are things that you can avoid saying to a person struggling with the eating disorder. What tends to happen in recovery is that a person is becoming physically more healthy. In recovery as well, there is mental health that is also improving. Of course, this is a really not a linear path. There's a lot of ups and downs, but overall, a person is physically and mentally at least slightly healthier than they were in their eating disorder. So it's only reasonable to expect that it's going to also show that physically and mentally you're a little bit healthier. But if you tell a person with an eating disorder who's in recovery that they look healthy, that will backfire. And the reason for this is that the healthy is a symbol. Healthy is a symbol that their eating disorder identity is being lost. And I'll also leave a link in the description below for a video that I talk about that identity that you usually develop within your eating disorder, and it's very difficult to let go of. So that eating disorder still, that identity is being almost ripped away from you, and that's really difficult for a person with an eating disorder to deal with, and finding their identity outside of their eating disorder. So the healthy is a symbol of that. Not only that, is that healthy is a word that will be perceived as meaning fat to a person in eating disorder recovery, because perhaps maybe they were be told how when they were in their eating disorder and doing what the eating disorder wanted them to do, that they were looking very unhealthy, looking pasty, looking possibly emaciated, or whatever it might be. And this is for, not for all eating disorders, but it's just something to be mindful of regardless. So you may look differently, obviously, in your eating disorder, because while weight isn't a criteria for having an eating disorder, it could be a byproduct and it could be an impact from your eating disorder. So in recovery, you might start to see changes physically and mentally that would appear that the person looks healthier. And we could think the all or nothing mind of an eating disorder, that's going to be perceived as fat, and that's going to be perceived as a bad thing. Of course, this is something that hopefully this person is seeing a therapist that works with eating disorders, and they will work through that and work to maintain that healthy self throughout that process. It's just best to avoid commenting on the person's appearance in general. It likely will backfire, and the reason for that is that because this battle between the healthy self and the eating disorder self, no matter what you say, one wins and one loses. If you say that they look healthier, the win for the healthy self, but the eating disorder is pissed and agitated. And that is really just kind of why recovery is so difficult, because one part of yourself is being very pleased and happy, and the other part is really suffering and battling whatever is a loss for that part, again, so to speak. Another thing which is helpful to avoid is to avoid comparing the person behavior-wise to their old behaviors while they were in their eating disorder. So when you're sitting down on a meal and you're able to notice that, oh, I see that you're able to eat more, you might be saying that as a compliment. But that person, again, is going to perceive it in all the ways that I just talked about. That means that you're losing your eating disorder identity, you're getting fat, you're getting healthy, which all the stuff that comes along with that. You may also say, I see that it's easier for you to eat this and all of that. it just is a lot that comes along with it. It's a really loaded thing to say, behavior-wise or physical appearance-wise. A lot of the things that you may say in eating disorder recovery, the things that usually are the first things that you do want to say when you are with a person who is in recovery from an eating disorder, a lot of those will tend to backfire. And I know it's really difficult for you as a person who may be witnessing a person struggling with an eating disorder and in recovery from it, because it's a lot of the logical things that you want to say that you think are helpful or nice really are destructive for the person who is suffering. So what can you do to best be of support? It really depends on who you are in relation to this person. A parent might have to be doing something a little different than maybe an aunt or uncle who isn't super involved with their life on a daily basis. So that might be looking like more just being supportive, not really bringing up the eating disorder in any way, shape, or form, unless the person suffering brings it up to you. So just trying to take that away from what you're doing. And for a parent, more than likely you're involved with the person's therapy, or if you're maybe a spouse of someone going through an eating disorder, be involved with the therapist and ask for occasional family sessions to kind of work through what you're wanting to say to the person, some things that maybe have backfired, just kind of working through all together to really just find out what the best way to support that person is, because that person is an individual separate of their eating disorder as well, and what works for one person and what's helpful for another might be not so much for another person. So it's something that you could work through with that person who's suffering along with their therapist to really just figure out what's best for them and the best approach for everything. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up by clicking the thumbs up button down below. If you are in recovery from an eating disorder, or you know someone who is in recovery from an eating disorder, leave a comment down below about what has been helpful for you or what you have perceived to be helpful for someone else in terms of just being supportive with their eating disorder recovery. Please click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you support in your eating disorder recovery on your journey to finding your state of balance. Hope to see you in my next video.